I keep talking about or mentioning safety plans and how important they are and how relevant they are for every situation, and that you want to have different safety plans for different situations. But then I was looking back at my videos and I realized I haven't actually done a video on creating a safety plan. So we're going to do that today. If you're new here, welcome. My name is April. I am a survivor of intimate partner homicide threat, and I'm on here to educate women on how to be able to stay safe to hopefully save lives. If you're not new, welcome back. Thank you so much for supporting me and being a part of my community. Let's get to it. In the back of my book, if you purchase the book, if you do the online version, then there's downloads to it. I include 3 safety plans. I include one for if you stay, one for if you have to leave in a hurry, and one for if you are leaving but you have time to be able to prepare ahead of time. Now, because most of the women that have been murdered by their intimate partners or their exes could have most benefited probably at that time from leaving in a hurry, that type of a safety plan, and therefore anybody that is watching that relates to them is probably going to benefit from that one the most. We're going to focus on that one today. Leaving in a hurry safety plan includes these 5 factors. Where are you going to go? What do you need to take with you? How are you going to cover your tracks? Who can support you in your effort to leave? And after you're in a safe location, then what? Where are you going to go? 3 points here. If you need to get out immediately and you can drive to the nearest police station. If you have a phone on you, call 911, stay on the phone with them until you are there in person with them and ask them to meet you outside. If you're on foot and it's an emergency situation, run towards people. If there are restaurants or stores or gas stations in that vicinity, run towards that. If you have a phone on you, call 911 while you're running and stay on the line with them until they get there. If you're on foot and there isn't a public area around, then you need to take cover as soon as possible. This is probably going to be a neighbor's home of some sort, and call 911 as soon as you can. But in that case, your goal is to be out of sight and not where they can find you, if at all possible. Considering those things with a piece of paper that you can tear up and throw away afterwards if you want. This is just kind of for brainstorming. If you needed to get away from your home without any notice, where would you go? Where is your emergency safe place? Go through this in your mind, run through the scenarios in your mind with you getting away and getting safe. What does that look like for you? Make a plan. It can be as simple as, if I ever need to get out, I may get out and run to this gas station and call 911 from there, or call 911 on the way. It doesn't have to be some difficult thing. In fact, in a situation where you're in crisis, you probably already know this, but your adrenaline is pumping, and so less is better. The less complicated it is, the more likely you're going to be able to do what you planned. Two, what do you need to take with you? So if you have a cell phone, take it. This could be your only link to help. If you're being pursued by your abuser and you can grab something for self-defense, like pepper spray or pepper foam, if you shoot it into their eyes, it might buy you some time to be able to get away. However, most people it works on, some people it doesn't. Some people it might just make them more angry and put you more in danger. So as best as you can know your situation. But if you take any other kind of a weapon with you, make sure that you can control it. Because the last thing that you want is to take a firearm or a knife or something like that with you and not be able to control it and have them use it against you. If you can take that with you and you are able to control it, great. If not, shoes on your feet and a coat if it's cold are great if you have the time and the ability to grab them. But when it comes down to it, if all that you can get out with is your life, that's the most important thing. If you're running barefoot or butt naked down the road, if that's how you are able to escape, do that. Do what you need to do to survive. And then last, if you can have contacts written down somewhere so that you can be able to access them just in case you don't have a cell phone or your cell phone gets broken or you end up leaving it or losing it, so that you can be able to contact somebody, that's great. That's an added bonus. If you don't have it when you leave, then you don't have it when you leave. Again, don't stay in the situation because you feel like you need to have all of these things in place. If you get out with only your life, that's enough. But each one of these things is going to be a little bit more helpful. So then on paper, think about, what am I going to take with me? Can I safely put these things together in some kind of a container and either hide them somewhere on the location or hide them with somebody in an alternate location? Maybe this is with a friend. Maybe this is with a family member. Maybe this is at your work. Is there a safe place that you can put these things? And that would be sort of a go bag, like a mini go bag in this case, if that was all that you took with you. You can go to this video on creating a go bag if you want to get more in depth with that, but that's an if you have time to prepare thing, but it doesn't mean that you aren't leaving in a hurry. It is intended for you to be able to grab it and leave in a hurry. But you have to have had some time to prepare for that ahead of time. So if that's your situation, go look at that video next. It will show you what to do, like the most important ideas for putting into a go bag if you're going to create a whole big go bag. How are you going to cover your tracks? If there is more than one vehicle in your home, can you grab the other keys before you leave so that that person can't get into another vehicle and follow you? If it's possible, use cash, not credit cards or debit cards, so that they can't track you electronically, and don't go to people who they know for help. If you have a best friend that they happen to know, don't go there. Don't go to your mom's house or your dad's house. If at all possible, go somewhere that they don't know. And if that means that you need to go to a hideaway, crisis center, shelter type of thing, then do that. That's what those are there for. What are you going to do to cover your tracks? Who can support your efforts to leave? 911 is your best bet initially, unless you have some other kind of plan that's already in place. You can get more resources once you get to a safe location. Having another plan in place could be a relative helping you to get to the airport. I know a woman who got her kids out. Her sister came and picked them up. They laid down in her sister's car. As they traveled through town, she took them to the farthest away airport and got them on a plane, and they left the state. That was their exit plan that they had prepared for. Their abuser went to the closest airport looking for them, but wasn't able to find them because they had already had that plan in place. The beauty of a safety plan is that it's personal to you and your life. So your safety plan may not look like mine, may not look like the President of the United States safety plan. They're all going to be different because we have different resources and different lives and different threats. Yours needs to be created to suit you. Who can support your efforts to leave? The final thing is after you're in a safe location, you want to talk to your local crisis center, battered women's shelter, police department, etc. to learn what options are available to you, what resources are available to you once you're safe. Then take time to evaluate your situation. Are you in an emergency shelter locally? Do you need to get further away from that? Do you feel like being local is just too close? There are people that will transport you away from an abuser, which I talked about in my book, but there are even airlines that will transport abuse victims for free in that type of situation. So you're weighing, how far away do I need to be safe from my abuser and my kids if you have them? But on the other hand, if you have kids, what are we going to do about their schooling? Are they going to continue to go to their school? Are they going to get pulled out of school and transferred to a different school? Does this shelter have homeschooling options for the kids to keep them out of being social, to keep them safer? This is the point where you're looking at all of these things after the fact, after you have left and gotten away to safety, because you didn't have time to look into them before. Ideally, the more of these things you can think about ahead of time, the better off you are. But in this scenario, we're saying you just had to run. Things escalated. He had a gun, or there was an imminent threat you felt like to your life, and you left. And you didn't have time to prepare. So now, as soon as you're safe, then we're doing that preparation stuff. Likewise, with the schooling thing, what about work? Do you keep your job? Do you quit your job? Do you try to find a different job? Where would you find a different job? If you keep your job that you have right now, Are you going to be a sitting duck for this person? Are you putting yourself in danger by continuing to go there? They know your schedule and know where you're at. That's a way that a lot of them will hunt. If you're going to keep your kids in their schools, if you're going to keep going to work, etc., it would be wise to consider a protection order. And you can give that protection order to the schools. You can give a copy of it to your boss. You can make it so that they're not allowed on the premises. It does not mean that they're going to follow it, but it is something. This is also a good time to create another safety plan. So you created a safety plan for getting out of that immediate threat. Now you're in a different situation and you need a different plan. In this plan, you may need to change jobs, schools, churches, clubs, etc. You can plan to continue to use cash, or you can get a prepaid debit card and use that, not your bank card. If you have a phone service plan with your abuser, stop using that. Go to Straight Talk or some other prepaid phone plan that you can get individually so that they don't have access to your records. They don't have access to your location. If you still have a cell phone, I would recommend getting rid of it and getting a different one, just in case they put any type of monitoring software on it. They can monitor where you are. They can listen into your phone through your receiver. They can take your pictures. They can get access to your calendar. There's all kinds of things that spyware is capable of doing. If you happen to have a semi kind of tech savvy abuser, it's better just to get rid of it and get a new one, and then you don't have to worry about all of those things. And just as a tip, depending on the level of danger of your pursuer, getting a non-internet connected phone is much more difficult to track. This day and age, a lot of us want to have that accessibility, so just keep that in mind. And I would also suggest that you stay off of social media while you're in hiding. And finally, you can create a false trail if you believe that it's necessary. Depending on how long this shelter or wherever it is that you are staying at will allow you to stay there, that's going to determine kind of what you're going to be able to do. You can reserve or rent a hotel room, set up appointments to view properties with real estate agencies, visit schools, etc. in a city that is hours away from where you actually plan to go. Ask them questions that are going to require for them to call you back. Then give them the phone number that your abuser has access to so that they will actually call your abuser to answer your questions. It's going to give them the idea that you're going there or you're looking at going there, but do not do that until after you're out, because God forbid they call and give him a heads up before you leave. You don't want that. Don't do that. And then finally, I want you to ask yourself and think about who or what am I fighting for? It could be your kids. That's a very easy one. Could be your parents, could be a best friend. What or who are you fighting to live for? Because when crap really hits the fan and you need something, this is what you're going to draw from. What am I fighting for? What am I fighting to stay alive for? And you want to anchor that inside of you. Navy SEALs use this, I think it's called pull the trigger, where they they visualize this person or thing, but usually it's a person, I would imagine, that they're going to stay alive for. And then they go fight. They go enter into these very dangerous situations, but they put this person in their mind first, or these people into their mind first, so that when they go into that situation, they know what they're fighting for. I want you to do that too. What are you fighting for? Recap, you're going to write down some type of a plan for yourself and your children. Where do I go? What will I take with me? Is it possible for me to put these things in a container ahead of time, some sort of a go bag? And if so, stash it somewhere that I'm going to be able to get it in a hurry. How am I going to cover my tracks? Can be as simple as getting a new cell phone and only using cash. Can be a lot more elaborate to the point of creating a false trail. Who can support me in my efforts to leave? 911 or local crisis center, victim advocates group, domestic violence group, family, friends, coworkers. Who do you trust to be on your support team? I feel like these situations work out better when it's a team effort and not just a person by themselves. You absolutely can. If you don't have anybody else, then do it. But I feel like they tend to be more successful. Let me know if you disagree. Do you believe a false trail is necessary? If so, what are you going to do to create one? And then ask yourself and think about who or what am I fighting for? If this is helpful, let me know in the comments, give it a like, and I'll do one or both of the other kinds of safety plans that I have in my book. That's what I have for you today. Let me know if there's anything that you would add, anything that you would take away based on your experience. Either of those would be very helpful. Until I see you again, please stay safe.